to talk the Dillon Gabriel noise, ball control versus big plays. We're talking so much, maybe, I guess, a little bit of the wedding thing. God, I don't really want to talk about that, but I'm sure it'll come up. We head out to the fan hotline and welcome on, as she does every single Wednesday, Cleveland.com Browns reporter Ashley Bastock. Ashley, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. You would think that I got engaged yesterday with the amount of texts and messages I got, Nick.
How many congratulations did you get for somebody else getting engaged?
Well, I don't even know if it was congratulations. It was more so like I'm the point person on everything, so I just had to deal with it, you know, and all my friends wanting to talk about it with me. So I guess I'm lucky in that regard.
Would you give up 1 year of your life? Back end of the year, of course. Back end of the life. 1 year of your life to be able to go to the wedding and reception.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I don't even have to think about that.
That's a
1 year.
last take.
How many years now? I want to see how far this goes.
No, I don't. I don't know if I can have that quick of an answer. I don't know. I guess I would have to know how long I'm going to live till.
No,
let's say you live to 85. You chopping off 5 years?
You know what? What am I going to do with those 5 years? What am I going to do with those 5 years? 80 sounds pretty good, right?
Maybe know your great-grandkids? I don't know. Should you want to have them? Like, come on now.
Oh, we just wish.
And by the way,
great-grandma
those great-grandkids can talk about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's wedding.
She just her great-grandkids.
Well, she doesn't know them yet.
Okay.
They don't exist to her yet.
But concept.
So they're perfect in concept. It's when you get to know them that it's going to be real problematic. You're like, this generation is terrible. But, like, here's the thing I'm going to tell you is 85 is going to be the new 70 when you're 85, so I think this is a bad trade.
No, I don't know. I think the grandkids and great-grandkids would love to hear about this royal wedding of sorts if I got to attend it.
From, like, a video that they watch? Because you're dead.
Yeah, like, it will just still be the talk. It'll be the way people talk about Charles and Diana still.
That's a hot take.
I like it, though.
No, I don't think it's a hot take.
I like it. That's a good take.
Now you're putting me in a position that's going to jam you up. I think that's a hot take.
We all saw what happened to Princess Di, too, so... You know, you don't want to really emulate that.
Why is it now the second straight week? This is where the show's gone when Ashley is on. There's football to get to.
Just saying.
Ashley, how long of a leash does Joe Flacco have?
Get an Elton John song out of it.
You know, I think Joe Flacco's leash to me feels decently long, but it's going to get shorter if he starts throwing picks. Like, that was his problem when he was here the first time. He threw quite a few picks last year in Indianapolis when he started, and that's the number one thing this offense can't afford. They have to take care of the football. So I think he's got an okay leash right now, but it can get shorter very fast if the picks start coming. That's kind of how I view it.
Oh, how quick do you feel like that leash can get shorter?
I mean, I think if you're going the first couple weeks and throwing interceptions in every game, that the leash would get shorter then. But, you know, I think this team is in a tough spot right now because of the Kenny Pickett move. And I think it's a different world than it was when Kenny Pickett was still here in terms of how early would you really want to throw Dillon Gabriel into the mix. But I just think any kind of picks, any kind of consistent picks that he is throwing, if it's week to week, if it's multiple in one game, no matter when that happens, the leash is going to start getting shorter.
We do have a little bit of news here within the last 4 minutes as Adam Schefter is tweeting out. Former Patriots first-round pick Cole Strange is signing with the Browns practice squad with the idea of being elevated to their active roster, which I should point out, I think that's everybody's idea when they sign to the practice squad, Adam. But that being said, Cole Strange is a member of the Browns practice squad. So I guess we'll kind of bring it back to what I think is the crux of this season. Something JP and I were talking about is, are you going to let Joe Flacco be Joe Flacco, or is he going to have to play in more of a ball control offense than he did 2 years ago, which would then allow you to hand off to Dillon Gabriel a little easier? How do you view the maybe the wants of let's not turn the ball over, let's run the ball more than we pass the ball versus letting Joe Flacco cook?
You know, that's a good question. I think you can't fully limit Joe Flacco, right? Because the positives of Joe Flacco, those gunslinger tendencies, that's Joe Flacco at his best. That's why they made it to the playoffs a couple of years ago, right? I don't think, look, we've seen this coaching staff go through so many quarterbacks over the last 2 years. I don't think they're always like, oh, we have to simplify things because what if the next guy comes in and we want it to match his style too? That's kind of never how they operated. Like when Deshaun Watson went out in 23, they fixed that offense to be what Joe does well. That's what Kevin Stefanski does well. So I feel like they're going to let Joe be Joe for the most part. Obviously, like I said, the picks being the number one concern. So you're going to have to make smart decisions there. But I don't think that necessarily looks like making it an offense where things are going a bit quicker and things like that and shorter games just for the sake of Dillon Gabriel. Like if they do that, it's going to be because that's what they want to do. I don't think they're going to mold this offense to be something that only Dillon Gabriel is good at while Joe Flacco is in. They've just never really done that.
Yeah, we also got into a debate about how Kevin Stefanski views Dillon Gabriel. Nick thinks that Dillon Gabriel is viewed in Stefanski's eyes as a long-term starter. I just see him as a backup. How do you think Kevin Stefanski perceives Dillon Gabriel?
I mean, I think they look very highly on him. I do think that they have a lot of aspirations for him. In a perfect world, that's the long-term starter, right? I mean, that's why you draft a guy. But I think the Browns are also realistic of, look, this is a rookie that we took in the third round. This wasn't a top 5 draft pick. This wasn't taking Cam Moore number 1 overall. And I think they know Dillon needs time, and I think they are willing to give him that. And I think everyone needs to be cautioned. You still have to be wary of what you see in the preseason, right? Because I think Dillon Gabriel is a more polished quarterback than Dorian Thompson-Robinson was. And the Browns took him in the third round versus taking DTR in the 5th round. But I'm old enough to remember how this team talked about Dorian Thompson-Robinson. They were talking about him in terms of their long-term plans, thinking he could be a long-term backup for them in that room. And obviously, it's not what happened. DTR just got waived by the Eagles earlier this week. So I'm just kind of wary right now in terms of their evaluation of these rookies who have a lot of college experience because they didn't get it right with DTR. So in terms of leash length, I guess I have them on a shorter leash in terms of my own evaluation of the moves.
Ashley Bastock at Cleveland.com on the Fan Hotline here with us as she joins us every single Wednesday. The Browns over-under is set at 5.5 wins. What is the safest win guess for the Browns in 2025?
Ooh, safest win guess. You know, let's just stick right around that 5.5 and say 5. I mean, I think they'll get more than 5 wins, but things go off the rails. I think it's probably right around there. So, yeah, I feel like that's a fairly good guess for a team who, let's be real, like, we all love Joe Flacco, but you're trotting out 40-year-old Joe Flacco still. You don't have that quarterback of the future for sure in your building yet. So I think anytime a team has quarterback questions, it makes it hard. And the fact that these guys have a really tough 6-game stretch to start their season where they play all 3 AFC North opponents. They play the 3 toughest NFC North opponents in those weeks, including the London game against Minnesota. It's going to be a tough start. So for that reason, I'm glad they're not throwing a rookie in right away. But I think you have to consider that when you talk about how many games do we realistically think this team is going to win. If you get off to a slow start, things could go downhill really quickly.
What's your biggest question remaining about this Browns team?
My biggest question remaining about this Browns team, you know, I guess I'll say to get it off of the quarterbacks, like when is Quinshon Judkins going to be here? Because he's still not here. He was a big part of their plans to revitalize this run game. I think you need a very high-powered run game in this offense. So that to me remains the biggest question. When is he going to get here? And granted, these things can happen fairly quick, like once the ball gets rolling. And if he's not here, what is this run game going to look like with Jerome Ford as your primary back and Dylan Sampson is mainly that third down guy? So it's the biggest question for me because that is the big key that I think they are still missing, that they had planned a lot for Quinshon Judkins. And just right now, there's not a lot of insight into what exactly is happening and when he might be here.
So I know you just said there's not a lot of insight in this, but, every time it's been mentioned, well, the league's still looking into this, but yet there are plenty of guys that are under contract. There are plenty of guys that get contracts when they're under league investigation. So that, to me, it looks more like maybe a negotiation issue between the Browns and Quinshon Judkins. What is the holdup on this? Because it's tough for me to believe it's just the NFL review.
Well, I think it's worth noting that there were negotiation issues before this happened, before Quinshon Judkins was arrested. And a lot of it goes with the second-round picks and how much fully guaranteed money they are going to get. Because, these rookie contracts anymore are fairly cut and dry in terms of the totals, and where you're picked is kind of where your contract is slotted. But it was about the guaranteed money then, so I don't know how much that is still holding things up, if he's going to want the exact same kind of fully guaranteed money that the Browns gave Carson Schlesinger and that the other second-round picks across the league have gotten. We're just going to have to wait and see, I think, honestly, at this point, until something else happens and until he's here. We never really get a ton of answers on contract stuff as it goes, but I think if we are going to get more insight on it, that's really when it would happen. But yeah, it's definitely odd, I think, to me that there's just been nothing. It's been practically radio silence on where this is heading. And obviously he was such a high pick. Obviously we know the case is not being pursued further by prosecutors in Florida. We know the NFL is still looking into it. So just still a lot of unknown that I think makes it one of the biggest questions for me.
Ashley, great stuff as always. This time next week, we'll be getting ready for week one and the week one matchup with the Bengals. So great stuff with us. Excited for this and appreciate your time.
Thanks, Ashley.
All right. Thanks, guys.